Good morning and welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of TakeaSide. I'm your host, Jacob Polachek, and today we'll be running through our favorites for the Heisman Trophy and the possibilities of a shortened NBA season with a special Thanksgiving-themed debate. As always, be sure to take a side at sided.co and tag us on Twitter at TakeaSideKU. To start off, I'm here with Caroline McCrae and Max McElroy, here to talk about their favorites for the 2019 Heisman Trophy Award. 13 weeks in, LSU quarterback Joe Burrow has emerged as a favorite for the Heisman Trophy, leading the Tigers to a perfect 11-0 record and number one ranking. However, Ohio State defensive end Chase Young is also making a strong push into Heisman contention as he broke the Ohio State single-season record for sacks on Saturday. Caroline, who are you picking to win the Heisman?
All right, Jacob, you said there's a few good options, but I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. He's just an incredible quarterback, leading LSU, like you said, 11-0. He has over 4,000 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He also has 3 rushing touchdowns. He had 6 touchdowns in the game versus Vanderbilt, tied the record for most touchdowns in a game for LSU. He was the first LSU quarterback to throw 350 yards in 3 consecutive games. He beat Alabama for the first time since 2011 for LSU. I just think he's a great quarterback, and I think he deserves to take on the Heisman.
Well, I agree with you. I think that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in college football. Chase Young is overall the best player, the most dominant player I think college football has seen in the last 4 or 5 years, just my recent memory. He has 16.5 sacks, which is the Ohio State record, 27 solo tackles. But let's not forget that he got benched 2 games, and those games were against Maryland and Rutgers. So he could have, potentially he could be at 20 sacks maybe, just between those 2 games. But I look at his 2 biggest games this year were against number 11 Wisconsin and number 8 Penn State. In Penn State, he had 9 tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. Just an absolute dominant performance from a great Penn State O-line. And in the Wisconsin game, he has 4 sacks, 4 QB hurries, and 1 forced fumble. So in his 2 biggest games against great Big Ten competition, great big O-linemen, he's just completely dominating, and he takes over games. And
I think Chase Young is good, but you talked about the suspension. He was out 2 games, and I think that's going to hurt him. I think that's going to hurt him a lot because he missed those games. And
I sure hope it does not, because I think he is too good, and that whole NCAA situation was kind of stupid, and I think everyone agreed with that, and just that it just being ridiculous that he even got suspended. But for him to still be in Heisman contention, and for him to come back, his first game back against Penn State, and put on that dominant of a performance, and he still has, he has Michigan this week, and then the Big Ten championship, which they've already clinched a trip to there. So I think if he puts on just dominant performances the next 2 weeks in the way that he has already, I think no question he is the first shire number 1 best player in college football.
Well, I don't know. I think that if you look at it, like if you take out Chase Young, Ohio State's still going to be a great team, still going to be amazing. If you take out Joe Burrow, LSU would struggle. Joe Burrow has a 78.9% completion rate. If he keeps up that rate, then he'll beat the record set by Colt McCoy in 2008 for completion rate. And he's just, I don't know. I think he's just so good.
I think it's a fair argument. Although I will have to say, I think LSU, yes, they're undefeated. They beat a Bama team that had an injured Tua, very injured Tua, and their defense is nowhere near what it has been in the past. So, that game was still a shootout, and I think, chips fall a different way. I think Alabama could have won that game, where Ohio State is dominant. And Ohio State could actually be the first ever college football team to win 9 conference games and win a Big Ten championship. So they could be the first team to win 10 conference games ever. And the Big Ten is arguably the best conference in football. And I think, LSU only plays 7 conference games. And so I think just the big difference in competition is huge, because, you see Bama playing like the Citadel, and, LSU plays lower competition teams too. But Ohio State is continually proving in the Big Ten that they're a dominant force, and he is leading that force.
Well, the Heisman Award has never gone to an exclusively defensive player. You think this could be the first year?
I do. I think this guy is a special enough talent where I think he absolutely deserves it, and he could definitely win it. It'll be really interesting to see if the voting goes that way. I think it's a quarterback-friendly award, but the Heisman Trophy is legitimately dedicated to the most outstanding college football player, and I think he is, and he has been for over the past 5 years. I think he's just been so dominant. He could be the best prospect we've had. And I believe he should go number 1 overall. You know, you say the Bengals should get a quarterback. I think he is a game changer, and he completely can, change the impact of the game. I mean, Penn State only scored 17 points, and he led the defensive charge. Penn State's a great offensive team, so.
You think anyone else will be in the running? I think Tua's probably out because of his injury.
I think the final 3 will probably be Chase Young, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts.
I think Jalen Hurts, that KU game, people think that he's out because of that game, but that was a great game for him.
People only look at the passing yards, but he rushed for like 140 yards that game. Anyway, Jacob, what are your thoughts? Who are you thinking is Heisman favorite, or what are your thoughts on the whole?
Yeah, so I think that I would say Burrow's probably the favorite right now, but I wouldn't count out Jalen Hurts. I think, yes, he only has 30 passing touchdowns, which is 11 less than Burrow, but he has 17 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's great on the ground.
And he has over 1,000 yards on the ground, over 3,000 yards passing, and they're 10-1. So it's hard to count him out. But if LSU stays undefeated and Burrow continues to play the way he does, I don't see any way that somebody else wins the award.
I think Jalen Hurts kind of like Oklahoma's like a 2-man show, but people can't figure him out. So if he keeps succeeding, I could see maybe a 3rd Oklahoma quarterback winning the Heisman would just be crazy.
It would be
That'd
crazy.
Be unheard
but
of.
they only have Oklahoma State and Baylor left, so he should be able to do pretty well in
She'll
those
have
games.
great games
Yeah.
that way. All right, well, we are going to cut to a break. Thank you for joining us. When we come back, what is our favorite Thanksgiving meal? We'll see you in a little bit.
Have a nice day. You too. Have a great day. Thanks. You too.
Make someone's day. Pay it forward.
In America, littering is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. In the U.S. alone, 250 million pieces of trash are littered each year, costing $11.5 billion in cleanup. Of that number, 40% of the trash comes from motorists on highways. We are slowly destroying our natural resources by littering so much as a society. Next time you see trash on the ground, do your part and throw it away.
All right, welcome back to TakeaSide. Now we're going to talk about your favorite Thanksgiving foods. And I feel like I might offend some people here, but I don't like Thanksgiving food.
I agree with you.
I'm tired of
Wow,
haters.
they're with me.
But I think Thanksgiving is easily one of the better holidays.
Okay, well, we're not talking about the
Yeah,
holiday.
the
We're
holiday
talking about
itself
the
But
food.
the
like.
food too. I mean, the food is what makes it good.
The food is a big part of the holiday. I agree with that.
That's solely built around just eating. And that's a beautiful thing.
Well, okay, so what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
I would say easy, go carbs, mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay.
Nothing better.
I like carbs.
Yeah, I'll go
Uh-huh.
bread.
I like
I'm
bread.
a
Yeah.
big bread girl. But
I'm
that's
okay
about
with
it.
mashed potatoes. I don't like gravy.
That's true. I like mashed potatoes, but I can't do gravy.
No,
so
I don't
even
I
like
can't do
mashed
it.
potatoes.
Butter's good, but I just can't. I don't know what it is. I can't do gravy.
But turkey, I just...
Turkey's
so
always dry.
dry.
Thanksgiving
See,
turkey is
that's why I
always
got
dry.
the gravy and dark meat. You can take the gravy and you apply it to everything. It's a multi.
But if we don't like the gravy, then it kind of ruins everything.
Yeah,
for
then you
us.
can't use the gravy on anything,
okay,
and then
okay.
everything's dry.
So now what's your solution?
I would say go dark meat.
Okay.
Has more moisture, way tastier. I think people who eat white meat are kind of freaks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay, so I'm offended. No.
Well, I guess I'll never eat white meat
know.
again.
But stuffing, honestly, can you just? I just don't really know.
I like stuffing. Stuffing done right.
I thought you were sitting here saying you didn't
Yeah.
like Thanksgiving food. And you're
But
like,
okay,
oh,
no,
yeah,
but,
I like mashed
but
potatoes. I like
no, but
stuffing.
okay, no. I like mashed potatoes not on Thanksgiving. Like mashed potatoes are like a good everyday thing, you know.
But on Thanksgiving,
but on
they
Thanksgiving-
just
Oh,
taste
the
different.
taste
or
is
what?
They're
Well,
like that.
I don't know. I feel like they kind of do. Not gonna lie, but like you make them a different
Okay.
way. It's not the typical like mashed potato thing, you know.
Is there more than one way to make a mashed potato?
I don't know. Sometimes
think
you
you
can.
just mash it.
Sometimes you can
That's
include.
what I was
Sometimes
thinking. I'm
sometimes
like,
people
are we
include
just
chunks. It's kind of
blending
weird.
it,
I don't
or
like
like,
it.
what's
But
like
the deal?
chunks.
yeah,
See-
so I don't know, and I feel like people do things differently on Thanksgiving, but
Maybe. They try to like make it fancy when just like a
yeah,
traditional
yeah. It's
basic
just
mashed
just
potatoes
give me
is the
some
best
mashed
way to go.
potatoes. Like it doesn't have to be fancy. Give me some turkey. It's fine. I don't like the turkey. I don't like cranberry. Who likes cranberry sauce? First of all.
Right there. And first of all, you get the stuff out of the can. It's easy. You just plop it onto a plate and you munch it with your family. There's
Just
no
munch it. You
rules.
just munch the
munch it.
cranberry
Yeah,
sauce.
that's an appetizer. I love that stuff. It's like candy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Straight from the
So you're
can.
ready.
Like, do you like the shape of the can, like when it comes out?
No, I
How it
think
just,
it's
like,
weird. I
sits
think there are a lot of weird things about stuffing. To me, the idea of stuffing, of just taking a bird and just filling
Okay,
it
do you
with stuff.
actually put your stuffing in the turkey?
Yes.
My
Because I've
family
always
cooks it in the turkey. And
I've
you guys thought I was
always-
crazy for that.
I've always
That's
made
how
it
they do it.
outside of the
Stuffing.
turkey.
I don't like it.
You
but
gotta
that's how
stuff
they
it
do
into something for it to be stuffing.
See, okay. So
No.
I'm maybe not crazy then.
No,
Y'all made me
no.
think my family was on something.
I can't even tell you what my family does because I've never eaten it.
Yeah, I don't eat it. I
I'm
just
the-
know
I'm
how
the-
they
probably
cook
on the
it because
bread
I see
train.
it come out of the oven.
Bread train. There is
How
some
do
bread
y'all
that's
feel about
dry
mac
though.
and cheese?
I like mac and cheese.
I've
Yes.
never
What
had
What
mac
kind
and
of
cheese with
household did you
Thanksgiving.
grow up in that lets you have mac
Oh,
and cheese on
beautiful
Thanksgiving?
one.
If I had mac and cheese on Thanksgiving, game changed. I was that kid that sat at the table and just ate like 6 Hawaiians king rolls, and that was
Oh.
my
Sure,
dinner.
yeah.
Like that was
Doesn't sound
that
bad,
was
really.
it.
Yeah, it's fair.
I mean, it was great. My family thought I was crazy, but
But with the mac and cheese, it would be
with
better.
mac and cheese,
With mac and
game
cheese
Maybe
and little
we'll come over
breadcrumbs
to
on
change.
top.
Maybe
Oh.
we'll go over to Sam's house
Oh,
for Thanksgiving.
you guys are welcome. It's a beautiful time.
Maybe
I have
it'll
a
change
feeling
our
we had a
opinion.
very different experience.
Maybe it'll change
on
our opinion of
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, so let's talk dessert.
Oh,
Is
Mm.
dessert good? I mean,
Pumpkin pie? No.
pumpkin
fan.
pie
Apple
is
pie,
disgusting.
not a pie
Apple
fan.
pie with
Apple pie
ice
is
cream
good.
is
I agree.
probably the one thing
Vanilla
that I
ice
like
cream,
about
I do
Thanksgiving.
like that.
So
Have
you
you
had
guys
rolls
ever
and
had-
then pie.
I did, but only
Yes.
apple pie because my
Okay.
family always had
Just
like
apple.
pumpkin pie, pecan pie, and then I started the coalition
Okay.
for apple pie at
now
Thanksgiving.
what about chocolate pie?
No,
What,
it's
your
don't like
family's
pie.
not
too
doing?
much. It's
I've
too
never
much.
had chocolate pie on
I think
Thanksgiving.
a good mousse on it, killer.
See, he loves Thanksgiving because he's had
Right.
very different experiences than I
My
have.
grandma's on her game too. You know, she spends 3 nights just pounding out pies.
Grandma
Oh, yeah.
Reader's going for
Pounding
it.
She's
out
a-
pies.
It's like
Yeah, we go the store-bought route.
see,
So-
that's again, your Thanksgiving's a tragedy. I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
saying.
Thanksgiving itself, I like the holiday. I like the football. I like being with my family. But if we're talking
true,
the
the
food,
football is good.
I eat a big brunch before, and then I go and I'm like, oh, I'm not hungry. I ate before this, and then I just eat.
I
bread.
like the holiday. I do like being with my family. We always go to Plaza Lights,
Yeah.
but food's just not for me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just Thanksgiving food. I'm not a fan. I think a lot of
I
people
think we can
will
agree that
with
the
me.
holiday is good. We have different opinions on the food, and we'll just have to leave it there because
And I'm
this
kinda
debate could
jealous
go
of
on
I think we'll
forever.
agree with that. I think,
Yeah.
I think
You
we'll
guys
agree with
got to
that.
come over to mine now. Right?
Yeah, we're all gonna go over to Sam's house.
All right, well, that's going to do it. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about whether or not the NBA season should be shortened. Stay tuned.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
Hello and welcome back to our final debate before Thanksgiving break. So, the NBA season has kind of started and there's already been a lot of debate and people are even bringing up negotiations with the NBA about shortening the season. How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't think they should shorten the NBA season. I think that there are plenty of games already. I think that it's a perfect length because it gives teams enough time to establish their position in their conference. Where a team like, I mean, you've got those guaranteed ins. Well, I was about to say the Warriors, but that's not happening this year. But like the Warriors last year, we already knew they were in from the start. But then this year, you've got teams that are still trying to fight their way in. I know we're both Wolves fans. I see us sneaking in at the end at an 8 seed, something like that, where we can break our way into the playoffs, and we need those last few games of the season to really get in there.
I completely disagree with you. I think the NBA season is way too long, and I think it's hurting a lot of things. Ratings are down 6.7% this year. They have had 9 primetime games that haven't reached 1 million viewers, and last season alone they had only 19 games that didn't reach that. And so they're already in such a hole of viewership, and people are not watching these games. And I think it's because they're tired of how long these seasons are, and it almost feels like in basketball the regular season doesn't even matter, and the postseason is where the players are really trying. And I sometimes will sit down and watch an NBA game and I'm just in awe about the lack of defense, the lack of hustle, and I don't think you need a long regular season where people won't get into it. People won't be excited about it.
Now, they're considering adding a mid-season tournament. How do you feel about that? Because I'm all for the mid-season tournament. I think if they make it something, because this would still extend the season, even if they shorten the regular season games, but they add in the tournament, I think that that'd be a great way to give a meaning to something that for smaller teams who might not be able to win an NBA championship, but they could win a tournament mid-season.
Right, I agree. I think it actually is a really interesting idea, and I think it would just add excitement.
Yeah.
I think the major problem is just people don't want to watch it, which I think has a couple things. I think, everyone wants to watch a hero and a villain, and the Warriors have been a villain for the last couple years. They want to watch that dynasty fall, and now that they're the worst team in the NBA, I don't think anyone is really interested in it. And then, you have Zion's injury. I think he would have brought in a lot of people, but having a little tournament or a wrinkle in the season I think would be huge. And I don't know what necessarily stakes the winning team would have or if you lose it, but I think it'd be super interesting to see. But the season itself is just too long for people to not try enough.
Yeah, I guess it prevents you from tuning into every single game, but at the same time, I think that's part of what makes it great because you don't have to tune into every single game. Versus football, there's only 16 games, and you're busy one Sunday, you miss an entire week of your team's sports. Versus you can come and go with the NBA season, and you can tune into the best games, you can tune into the marquee matchups. But football, you got one game that week, and then you can't watch after that.
Well, and I think that's what's so special about college football and NFL is that in college you only have at least 12 games. In the NFL you have at least 16, max 19. And so I think it's so special because you have just such a limited amount of games. And so if you miss a week, if you don't show up for a week, you might not make the playoffs. That might cost you the playoffs. It might cost you a home field advantage in the playoffs or something like that. But in the NBAs, you don't have to show up for 10, 12 games of the season, and you'll be fine. Your team can still make the playoffs, and then you can be like a 7 seed in the playoffs and make it to the finals just based off of effort that you're giving. And
yeah, and then you compare it to baseball. So you got baseball where you've got 162 games, which I love that. I love that there's a game every single night that I can watch, multiple teams. I'm a Twins and Brewers fan. I'm a weird border kid. And I can watch one of those games every single night. There will always be something on. And I think that's great for fans because you're always able to watch a game versus when it comes to football, you can't. So I guess that's where we're really disagreeing on is where I just don't think it's worth the wait for an entire week to watch one game. And then you have to wait all over again.
See, well, I think that is very selfish and very indulgent. I just enjoy the specialness of 1 week. You have one game a week. You prepare for that team, and in the NBA maybe it just goes to 2 games a week. I think just the regular season is too long. I would say if you bring the NBA the regular season down to maybe 50 games.
Yeah.
I just think it would feel a lot more important, and each game would have serious stakes. Kawhi Leonard got benched for what was it called? Load. It was something about load management. And so I think that's just if the NBA season was shorter, that wouldn't happen. And I think it would be a lot more entertaining. Kawhi is one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so to have him playing is better for...
Yeah, well, we both disagree on this season length, but we can both agree on that mid-season tournament. I think that would be kind of an exciting addition.
Absolutely.
And we could go into that for a while longer. We're going to send it over to Jacob. He'll wrap it up.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us. As always, continue to debate on sided.co and tag us with your own debates on Twitter at TakeaSideKU. For Caroline McRae, Max McElroy, Sam Reeders, Emma House, Marina Saver, I'm Jacob Polachek, and we'll see you next week.